Strangers Chapter 3 is a 2026 American horror film directed by Renny Harlin and stars Madelaine, Petsch, Gabriel, Basso, Emma Horvath, and Richard Brake. This movie concludes the trilogy that is essentially a 4.5-hour movie that should have never passed 90 minutes. That's 3 hours of filler time that I'll never get back. So I saw this opening night, and it was just my girlfriend and I in the theater. The people have spoken, and they didn't want this. So yeah, I mean, I obviously had no expectations going into this. I did see the previous two, but I was oddly curious to see how they would wrap this thing up, I'll admit. I was really kind of hoping for like a hilariously bad, what is basically the third act of a super long fucking movie. And I wouldn't call this hilariously bad. It's more just bad in like a sad way. Like 3 movies, all bad. This is the best you guys could do? I mean, essentially what we got overall was a fairly similar and far less interesting remake with a slightly different ending, followed by 2 movies that really just don't have anything to offer. But again, I had been wondering, how this would end, and I did expect it to end here. But there's just no way that this franchise would have the staying power of like a classic franchise to keep moving on. That said, the ending is sort of vague, of course, in the way that they could continue this if they wanted to. Classic horror movie formula. Always leave things open for a sequel, I guess. I don't expect it. Again, I don't expect it to happen. It would just be embarrassing at this point. So anyways, the direction of this movie that again I had I had been genuinely curious about, especially since the second movie got pretty ridiculous near the end. I don't know if you guys remember that or even understand what was going on at the end of that part 2. And to wrap up the story, I figured it would make sense to go in one of 2 directions, both being predictable, but they would both make sense. Either the strangers kill Maya or she kills them, right? I mean, there's not much else that can happen. And either way, there's just no way to make either ending satisfying enough to justify 3 movies. And I mean, I hate to say it, but Maya is nowhere near an interesting enough character to make any of those endings actually worth it. She's just like early 2000s mainstream horror level uninteresting. Liv Tyler made it work in the original film, but this girl, Madelaine Petsch, does not. So the last film had her waking up in the hospital, running away from the strangers, fighting a CGI boar, and ended up with the in my opinion, pointless story of how the strangers started killing when they were kids, and the Tamra, backstory that we didn't need at all. This movie just gives you more of that. It wants to remind you that the strangers have been doing this shit since they were kids. Okay, that's fine, I guess. It actually starts 3 years prior to Maya's story, and this was confusing, where we get a pointless scene where they kill a random traveler in a hotel room. It just seemed so pointless, other than to reveal the identity of the pinup girl stranger, which I can't imagine anyone caring about. The point of this movie seemed to pretty much be for I had assumed, final showdown between Maya and the strangers, and to reveal the identities of them or whatever. Again, none of this is particularly interesting. The whole appeal of the original Strangers film was that it's scary when random people prey on other random people. And the villains' identities were never revealed, and that's what's cool about it, and creepy and disturbing. So you change that, and you change everything, and that's why prequels, and origin stories almost never work in horror. Michael Myers is a scary dude who murders people. We don't need to know that he had a mean stepdad or whatever. Fuck that. To me, the art of making great horror is knowing the right moment to pull back. I think humans are naturally curious, and we always want to know more about things. But sometimes less is more, and minimalism, is part of what made the original film so good. Your imagination has to do some of the heavy lifting. So I'm giving The Strangers Chapter 3 a 1.5 out of 4 stars. I can't remember what I gave part 2, but I think it's better than part 2. It's got more gore than the other 2, I guess, but they're all fucking terrible, and I'm just glad we don't have to watch them anymore. Please don't make more. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you at the multiplex.
Subscribe right now, please.